Quote, "He who is ignorant of the might of his foe and who thinks too much of himself will come to grief." Meaning of the quote. This quote is a timeless warning against the twin dangers of ignorance and arrogance. It suggests that a person who does not understand or recognize the strength and capacity of the challenges or opponents they face, while simultaneously placing too much confidence in their own abilities, will ultimately face suffering, failure, or loss. This is not just about literal enemies, it applies to all obstacles, whether internal, emotions, habits, fears, or external, people, systems, situations. Wisdom lies not in pretending we are invincible, but in understanding the terrain of life with clarity and humility. Spiritual perspective. From a spiritual perspective, this quote reflects on the egoic mind, the part of us that seeks to assert dominance, superiority, or control. When a person becomes overly absorbed in their own power, they lose touch with the deeper reality of life, which is interconnected, unpredictable, and governed by forces larger than any single person. Here, the foe can represent more than just external adversaries. It can symbolize inner darkness like anger, greed, jealousy, or pride, karmic patterns or consequences, the natural results of our past actions, the unknown, the mysteries and chaos of existence. If we ignore these forces and assume that our will or intellect alone is enough to overcome anything, we become vulnerable. The spiritual path teaches us to recognize the limits of the self, surrender the illusion of total control, cultivate humility, awareness, and compassion. Thus, true spiritual strength comes not from overpowering others or denying reality, but from understanding it deeply and aligning ourselves with it. Scientific perspective. In the realm of science and reason, this quote aligns well with several principles. Overconfidence bias. Psychologists have long studied a phenomenon where individuals consistently overrate their own abilities and underestimate the complexity of tasks. This is called the overconfidence bias. It's especially dangerous in leadership, business, medicine, and warfare. For example, a surgeon who underestimates the risks of a procedure due to confidence may cause harm. A startup founder who ignores market challenges, believing in sheer brilliance, may lead the company to collapse. 2. Cognitive blind spots and Dunning-Kruger effect. People who know little about a subject often overestimate their competence. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Ignorance can mask itself as certainty, and when paired with ego, it becomes a recipe for poor decision-making and grief, as the quote says. 3. Risk analysis and systems thinking. Scientific models emphasize the importance of evaluating threats or weaknesses in any system. Whether it's climate modeling, cybersecurity, or public health, failing to account for potential threats due to arrogance or ignorance can lead to catastrophic failures. Scientists learn to respect both known and unknown variables. In short, science teaches us that wise action requires self-awareness, preparation, and data, not just belief in ourselves. Let's bring this wisdom to life through a small story. The Warrior and the Wind. There was once a young warrior, fearless and proud. He won every sparring match in his village and believed no force could rival him. One day he declared that he would climb the great mountain and defeat the wind spirit that was said to haunt its peak. The elders warned him, "The wind is no ordinary enemy. It doesn't fight with blades, but with silence, cold, and storms." Laughing, the warrior ascended alone. At first, the climb was easy. He boasted and shouted challenges into the air. But as he neared the summit, a storm broke. The wind howled with a force he had never imagined. It tore through his armor, froze his fingers, and knocked him off balance. He fell to the ground, barely able to move. A shepherd found him days later, humbled and silent. The warrior learned that respecting the unseen and knowing your limits is sometimes more powerful than any sword. Application in everyday life. This ancient wisdom touches nearly every part of our daily lives. 1. In the workplace. Overconfidence can lead to underestimating projects, missing deadlines, or misjudging competition. Leaders who dismiss feedback or believe they are always right often create toxic environments or make poor strategic decisions. Wisdom. Combine confidence with continuous learning and humility. Assess risks thoroughly. 2. In relationships. People who think too highly of themselves may neglect empathy, ignore their partner's needs, or assume they're always right. This damages trust and intimacy. Wisdom. Truly listening and being aware of our emotional blind spots makes relationships more resilient. 3. In health and lifestyle. Ignoring early signs of illness, pushing the body too far, or neglecting mental health because it won't happen to me often leads to suffering. Wisdom. Honor your limits. Prevention and awareness are stronger than denial. 4. In personal growth. Thinking we already know it all stops us from growing. Challenges we don't understand, like addiction, anxiety, or trauma, can overpower us if unexamined. Wisdom. Seek help, stay curious, and accept that growth requires confronting what you don't yet understand. This quote reminds us of two universal truths. 1. Humility is strength. It allows us to prepare, learn, and adapt. 2. Awareness is protection. Knowing what we're up against, both within and without, gives us the power to face life wisely. In a world filled with complexity and constant change, arrogance and ignorance are luxuries we cannot afford. It's those who blend courage with wisdom and strength with self-awareness who truly thrive. Thank you for joining this exploration of wisdom. If this message resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more insights into timeless truths. Remember, every great journey begins with a single step, and every great idea begins with a strong foundation. See you in the next episode.